So I talk a lot about metrics on LinkedIn and really looking at trends. And I just wanted to show you an example of why it's so important because it is something that can really change your business and can help focus your productivity. So let's dive into my Tenzo platform here, and it's going to show you a really quick example of a last week's snapshot of a test site that can help show why trends and metrics are so important. So if I look at this, I'm probably looking at a fairly decent week. We've got a nice spike coming in on the 27th here with some decent revenue compared to other days that are sitting there. And we've got a little dip off again towards the last few days of the week. So everything looks rosy. It's looking good. Now, why is it important to look at trends? If I drop in this little tax axis here, it shows year on year growth, and it really gives us a different perspective because what this is telling us is that even though the revenue might be positive this week, compared to last year, we're in decline. So if we'd have been looking at this as a snapshot, we might not have been looking at this against other metrics that might make sense. If we look at it year on year, it really starts to ask us questions about why are we in decline on previous years, and it forces us to go and find the answers. And they're the opportunities that you should be focusing on to bring these trends back in line. So this tells us a lot just in 7 days, comparing against the same period, last 7 days, of why metrics are so important. Now, if I make this data set bigger, this is where the real power of looking at trends and metrics come into play. Because when I make that data set bigger, you can start seeing a real shift in decline in revenue in the last week that's kind of been coming over the last 13 weeks. And I would argue that if you start looking at this data set and you start seeing some real declines in last year, that you would be already taking actions that would prevent the big decline coming in the final week. So there's two ways to look at this. One, you can see the peaks continuously happening. What was so good about those peaks that we're not seeing again in the preceding weeks that leads up to the big decline? And then you can also look at these weeks where you're seeing the biggest decline year on year, and you can look at the opportunities. Is it cover count? Is it average check? Is it overall food revenue, beverage revenue? What is causing that? Then you can go back with your teams and you can start talking about real facts and real data. How do we increase that average check? How do we increase that cover count? How do we get the upsells in that means we can grow revenue? So we're starting to ask more informed decisions because we're starting to investigate data based on really simple form of metrics and trends. And this is why it's really important to have trends and metrics in your business. So it's something we do every day with founders at Auden Hospitality. If I can help you with Tenzo, with any other metrics to try and help you see this kind of data this quickly at your fingertips, hit me a DM on my profile and let's chat. I'd love to talk more about how we can help grow your business.